Just a minute or two, because we have somebody who's coming, who's going to be coming from Alaska and watching our class online. Are you getting a little warm there, Jeff? That's a big old jacket. It's like a hot day today.
I'm cold.
You're cold? Is anybody else cold here? You're cold? I was like, it's so like warm today. You're kidding me. Okay. What I'm giving you guys here are your workbooks, which you guys will bring to every class. And these are yours, so you can write on them. When we do math, you can write on it and everything, so it's all yours. So, cool? Good, good. This is good. Okay. Have you guys ever done this before with a live broadcast type of thing? This is weird. It's like shifting back and forth. It's kind of weird. That's weird. Okay. So it doesn't happen. How's your all's week going? Yeah? Why, yeah. You're always like that. You were like that last time. Is this acting or is this real? This is real? Why? What's it like that? What's going on here? I've got these two things going on at once. This is weird. I have two broadcasts on my phone. There we go. Let's try this again. All right. That's better. Okay. Well, we'll be getting started in a minute or two. So, good. Let me see if this person is joining our broadcast here. I don't see them yet. Not yet. Okay. Okay. Well, since everybody is here and our Hangout is working, so. Well, let's get started. You guys all look kind of like tired or something like that. You guys, what happened for you today, Jacqueline?
I have a program called Aim High.
Oh, Aim High? How was that?
Fine. Just a little
Tiring? What did it make you do in Aim High?
Well, we have a lot of classes. 都来了吗？
都来了。好, okay. All right. So what did they make you do in Aim High? Cool, cool. Are you in that also, you said? No? Okay. Oliver, you look tired too. Why you look tired? You're always tired. It's only going to get harder when you get to high school and stuff. And then even harder when you get to college. So you're like, you just came from Alaska or something, right, Tim? With a big jacket going on? Okay. All right, well, let's get started. These notebooks are yours. Okay, let's flip them open and past the welcome page here. Let's turn past that. And I want to talk about some FAQs when it comes to talking about the SSAT and the ISEE. Now, you guys took the test the other day, so obviously you have a little bit more familiarity with it. But what does the ISEE and what does the SSAT stand for? Anybody want to volunteer that one? Any? Any guesses? Oliver, any guesses? No? Lisa?
No.
Some people, I've often heard this from a lot of students. SSAT stands for something admissions test. It's not the something admissions test. It's the secondary school admissions test. Does everyone have a pencil to write with? Pencils? Let's write on this. These are, write it in there, secondary school admissions test. Do you have a pencil? Hold on a second. All right. So, secondary school admissions test, that's what it is. All right. So what does the ISEE stand for? Does anyone know what ISEE stands for? It doesn't mean I see, you see, they see. Does anybody have a... It means the Independent School Entrance Exam. And all of you guys are applying to private schools, so that's what this is all about. So I kind of answered the next question. Why do we take these tests? Does anyone want to answer that one? Yeah, Jacqueline?
Probably because the school is based on, like, if you're getting in or not on this stuff.
Well, your admissions is based on several things. Part of it is the test score. Part of it is your GPA from middle school. But it's important because so many students come from different schools, and so many of them have straight A's. But the truth of the matter is that not all A's are created equally. And since not all A's are created equally, then a test is the best way to figure out who can calculate the best in math, who can do the best reading comprehension, and who has the best vocabulary. That's basically what they're trying to do. Okay, can I guess without penalty on the ISEE and SSAT? What do you guys think?
Yeah,
For which one, Lisa?
the SSAT.
On the SSAT, there is a penalty, correct? And then, what about the other one? What do you guys think?
The SSAT is 25% of the grade.
Right, so it's a quarter point off on the SSAT. On the ISE, there's no penalty. So guessing is totally okay on the ISEE, okay? So that's something you want to write down because that's something important that we're going to talk about a lot today, okay? Good. Can we use calculators on the math section? That's a big no. I think all of you guys already knew that because if you asked me the other day, I would have said no. And you guys would have been like, what? No calculator? Okay, but no calculator allowed. Okay. Does the essay affect my score? What do you guys think? Lisa, you're saying yes? Oliver? It's a separate score. It is not factored into your verbal or your reading score. It's a separate score. It doesn't even factor into the total score that you get on either of these tests. So it's used just as criteria to see how well you write on the test. Okay? Good. We're all doing pretty well here. Let's talk about a breakdown of the scores and how everything works. So let's talk about this for a second. With the two tests, I want to compare the breakdown of them so that we have a better idea. So let me just draw this here. Let's start with the verbal section here. And I'm just going to read these off, and I just want you guys to write it all down. And if you have any questions. In the verbal section, it consists of 3 different parts: synonyms, sentence completions, and analogies. The ISE and the SSAT don't have both, or both tests do not have all 3 of them. Each of the tests has 2 out of the 3. So in the ISEE, there's 40 minutes and 40 questions. So let's write this like this. Of the 40 questions on the ISEE, 20 of them are synonyms, 20 of them are sentence completions. So this is 20 and 20, okay? So those are all part of the verbal section right there, okay? On the SSAT, it's different. It has 60 questions in 30 minutes. So let me write this here. 60 questions in 30 minutes, okay? In those 30 minutes, 30 of them are synonyms, 30 are analogies. So they don't have sentence completions on the SSAT, and the ISEE does not have analogies. Okay. So that's really one of the biggest differences between these two tests. They're not significantly different from each other. Everyone cool with that? Let's go to the math section here. Both tests have two math sections. I'm going to call this one Math 1. For Math 1 on the ISE, 35 questions, 35 minutes. On the SSAT, which you guys took the other day, it's 30 minutes, 25 questions. Okay, everyone got that one? Everyone on the same page? All right, the next one would be reading comprehension. And this is probably the part of the test where both of them are the most similar to each other. Both of them are 40 questions in 40 minutes. So we'll write that in there. Okay, and then they both have a second math section here, so we'll write this in here. They're slightly different from each other. On the second math section for the ISEE, it's 45 minutes, 45 questions in 40 minutes. 45 questions in 40 minutes. The SSAT is the same in both sections, so this is going to be 30 minutes, 25 questions. Okay, everyone there? The thing that's a little bit different about it is that on the ISEE, they have something called quantitative comparison, and on the SSAT, they don't. So I'm going to just write this really quick. QC, this is yes, this is no. Quantitative comparison, which we'll go into a little bit more, is comparing two columns, and you have column A and you have column B, and it might be like if you're comparing 3/4 versus 4/5, which one is bigger? And you'd have to select which one is bigger. Or it would have something like percentage, not percentage, 3/4 to 4/5. They'll compare fractions to each other, or they'll compare other things, and you're always comparing which one's bigger. So that's what they have on the ISEE. The essay on the ISEE is 30 minutes, where the SSAT is 25 minutes. So I'll write this here. Okay, so you have 30 minutes versus 25 minutes. That's basically what they have there. In total, I'm just going to say this instead of writing it up there. The ISEE is 3 hours and 5 minutes. The SSAT is 2 hours and 36 minutes. So it's a slightly shorter test, okay? The bigger difference between the two is that on the SSAT, there are 5 answer choices, and on the ISEE, there are only 4, okay? What does that mean? That means that there are 4 wrong answers on the SSAT, and there are only 3. That means when it comes to guessing, you've got a 20% of just guessing randomly and getting it right on the SSAT. You got a 25% chance on the ISEE. Okay. Everybody cool with that so far? We're all good? Let's keep moving here. I'm going to talk about scoring and how it works on the SSAT, because this is what you guys took the other day. So when it comes to scoring on the SSAT, it's all based on a formula here. So before I start, in the middle of the page, you guys can see this, where it says raw score equals, okay? This is something that Oliver brought up earlier. And Oliver said that when you miss a question on the SSAT, what happens? You lose a quarter point, 25% of what a correct answer would be. So before we get there, right above that, each correct answer is worth 1 point, okay? So everyone write that there. You see that in the middle of that page there? Correct answers are worth 1 point. Incorrect answers are worth minus 1/4 of a point. That's what he was talking about, minus 1/4 or minus 0.25. You could write either one. It means the same thing. Okay? So right below there where it says raw score, we should write raw score is equal to the total correct minus the total incorrect times 1/4. So I'm going to write it up here. Okay, so that's what that is. Okay, so with this in mind, I want to calculate the total maximum score you can get on the SSAT and the lowest possible score on the SSAT. Okay, so let's look at this for a second. Based on what we talked about on the other previous page, let's look at verbal, reading, and math here. So this is verbal. Okay, so what's the total number of questions on verbal for the SSAT? It's on the previous page if you don't remember. Total number of questions. SSAT, not ISE number. So it's 60 questions, okay? Given that it's 60 questions on the the SSAT, I didn't mean to say ISE. Given that it's 60 questions here, what's the maximum score someone can get on a raw score? It's 60 points, correct. And then if someone was like, I have like no idea what I'm doing, I'm just going to go A, B, C, D, E. A, B, C, D, E, and pretend they missed every single question. What would be the score they would get on a raw score? Oliver? You would lose 25 points. So this is how you would calculate it. Using this formula here, it would be 0 correct minus 60 times 0.25. Okay, what is 60 times 0.25? A quarter of 60. I'm going to get some darker colors here for my markers. Did anyone get it? 60 times 1/4 is how much? 15. It's 15. So this person would get negative 15. This is 0. Ooh, this is a done pen. So this is 0 minus 60 times that. So this is going to be scores negative 15 to 60. So the raw score can range from negative 15 to 60. That's what that would be. Okay. How about with reading? How many questions are in reading? How many questions do we have in reading? 25? Double check. How much, Teva? 40. There's 40 total questions in reading. If there's 40 questions in reading, okay, and you got all of them right, what would be your raw score? 40. What would it be if you missed all of them? You guys figure it out here? 0 minus 40 times 0.25. Negative 10. That's basically 1/4 times 40. So the lowest score would be negative 10. So this goes negative 10 to 40. Okay? Everyone sees that? How about math? What's the total number of questions here? Total number of questions in math? How many? 80?
45.
No, not 25.
Oh.
How much, Jacqueline? 50. It's 50 questions, okay? So you got 50 questions here. Maximum score, raw score in math would be how much? 50. What's the minimum that someone would get if they missed every single question? $50 divided by 4. Anybody get it? 50 divided by 4.
Negative 12.5.
Right, negative 12.5. That's right. 50 divided by 4. So the lowest score is 12.5 to 50. Okay, what does that mean? That means that the lowest possible score on the SSAT, on a scaled score, what we had here was a raw score here. This is a raw score. This is scaled. Okay. The highest scaled score is 800 per section. The lowest is 500. So it goes from 500 to 800. Okay. And that's true for all 3 sections here. So basically what you have is lowest possible raw scores and maximum raw scores, lowest possible scaled score to the highest possible scaled score. Which one do you think that the schools care about most, scaled or raw score? Right, the scaled score is what they care about. The scaled scores are compared to each other, and you'll get a percentile, which represents the percentage of students across the country who you scored higher than. So if you got like a 2380 or something like that, you're probably scoring in the 99th percentile, because that's like you basically were close to perfect. Of course, if you got a 2400, you'd get a 99th percentile for that one. If you're somewhere in the 600s on each of them, like across the board, and you got 1800 out of a 2400, you're somewhere in the middle, around the 50th percentile. Does that make sense to you guys, how that all works? Okay. So given all of that information there, we should talk about how do I guess? So how do incorrect guesses affect correct choices? Well, if you looked at this, and you can see in the diagram, it goes 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. This is somebody who probably was like, dude, I like don't know what to do. I'm like leaving it blank, or should I not leave it blank? Okay, that's my like SoCal surfer accent. So anyways, if they were in that situation, like, dude, I'm like running out of time. I think I'm just gonna go A, B, C, D, E. Okay, so he does A, B, C, D, E. What happens is the law of averages and probability here, since you have 4 wrong answers and 1 right, this person most likely is going to get 4 wrong and 1 right, because that's really the law of averages, the laws of probability. What happens is you can see he loses a quarter point on number 16 through 19, and you got number 20 right, but that adds up to 0. So answering 4 incorrectly is equal to answering 1 correctly. That's basically a wash. Okay, so let's write that down there. Answering 4 incorrectly is equal to answering 1 correctly. Okay? So that's basically a wash. A wash means you neither gained nor lost points. But in the reality of it, if you had 5 questions and gained no points, you actually lost points. Okay, that's what that is. Does everyone agree on that? Okay. Okay, so let's look at the next part. On the next page, did you get it, Isa? Did you? 4 is equal to 1. Okay, answering 1 is equal to 1. It doesn't look like you got it there. So on the next page, this was a famous quote from Shakespeare. You've heard it before. To skip or not to skip? That is the question. No, that was Bob Shakespeare. William Shakespeare said, to be or not to be? That is the question. This was Bob Shakespeare. Anyways, you guys are like really not laughing today. This is hilarious. It's Bob Shakespeare, who was like the distant second cousin of William Shakespeare, who said this. I'm joking with you guys. Anyways, let's look at 2 scenarios of what students would go through on a test. The first student, let's have Jacqueline read this first scenario for us.
Answer all 50 final questions. Omit 0 final questions. This allows roughly a minute per question.
1 minute. Let's write that in there. That's meant to be written in it. 1 minute per question. Okay.
Answer half of the questions correctly. Answer half the questions incorrectly. Calculate your raw score.
So this person basically was somebody who used up all the time and answered all the questions. But since they missed half of it, I would say that this person probably guessed their way through a lot of stuff and probably got a lot of them wrong. So let's use the raw score formula right here, and let's see what happened here. This is correct minus incorrect. And we're trying to get the raw score here. 25 minus 25 divided by 4. So if we did that calculation there, 25 correct minus 25 divided by 4, what does that equal to? Let's do our math here. Six and 1/4. That's right. 25 divided by 4 is 6 and a 4. So putting it here, it's 25 minus 6.25. Does anybody know what that is when you subtract 6.25 from 25? Is your math skills going into effect? How much is that?
18.7.
That's right. So 18.75. When it comes to these raw scores, the SSAT rounds the scores. So this is about a 19, okay? What I want you guys to do is flip the page. When you flip the page, you're going to see selected raw to scaled score conversions here. When it comes to this, okay, look at the bottom of this page, because you guys are all 8th graders. If you were 5th or 6th graders, I'd tell you to look at the lower level. But for the upper level, you can see on the page where on the left column it says raw score. And this person scored about a 19, so just look at 20, okay? If you were to look at 20 and then look to the right of that, it says sections 2 and 4 quantitative. Do you guys see that? This person scored approximately how much? What would you say, Oliver?
4.
For their raw score of 20, if you look to the right, how did they score on the quantitative section?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Okay, look at this right here. I'm pointing right here on this bottom of the page. Does everyone see this right here? The bottom of the page where the 20 is? Look to the right of it where it says quantitative.
41.
It's about a 641, okay? I can tell you already that's barely over the 50th percentile on that. It's really, really average, okay? So that's what this person would get, close to 641, slightly below it because they didn't even get 20, they got 19, okay? But that just gives us a range as to how someone scores if they were to get only 50% correct, okay? Let's go back to the previous page and let's look at scenario 2. Back on the question of to skip or not to skip by Bob Shakespeare. Okay, let's continue with this. If you answered 40 of the questions and omitted 10 of them, and some of you guys are like, what, omit 10? Are you that slow? Someone who omits 10, remember on math there's 2 sections, is probably omitting 5 from one section, 5 from the other. That's probably what's going on. And it's not simply like, oh, I ran out of time, I don't know what I'm doing. It's more just like, maybe there's a question here or a question there that this person couldn't answer, and instead of guessing randomly, what they did was they just said, I'll leave it blank. That's what they did, okay? So this allows roughly 1 minute and 15 seconds per question. So let's fill that in, 1 minute and 15 seconds per question. This person answers 30 of them correctly, which is only 5 more than the other person who answered 25 correct, okay? This person answered only 10 incorrectly, so this is significantly less than the previous person who answered 25 incorrectly. So let's put it in the equation, 30 minus 10 divided by 4. I know the division sign's in there twice, but just think of it as 30 divided by 30 minus 10 divided by 4. So let me erase this. So what is 10 divided by 4? 5 for the whole thing.
Or for 30 minus 10 is 20.
No, you got to do the division first. 10 divided by 4 is how much?
2 and or 2.
Think of $1 divided by 4. What do you get? $100 divided by 4. What do you get?
Oh, it's
25. So this is 2.5. Okay, so this is 30 minus 2.5 equals what? What is that going to equal? 17? Dang, dude. You ain't doing my accounting. You're fired. I'm kidding. 27.5. Okay. Okay. All right, 27.5 here. That's a better raw score than the previous person. The previous person had a 19. So this person is going to have a 27.5. Let's turn the page real quick. If you look at that, you're looking at between the 30 and the 25, because that's kind of where the 27 is, 28. So this person's score is somewhere between 668 and 698. So that, if you add that up, it's kind of like looking at 670 versus 700. So between that, it's probably about 680, 685. That's probably where this person is. So back on this page here, this person's scaled score is 685. Would you rather have a 685 or would you rather have a 641? I think the answer is pretty obvious, right? And I'm not telling you guys this is a great score. 685 is better than the average. But what I'm trying to tell you here is that this person got a higher score even though he skipped 10. And a lot of people are like, whoa, that's hard to believe, right? I know at school, skipping is not promoted because what happens is you get points taken off if you skip something, right? But on the SSAT, that's how you do it, okay? So any questions so far? Is this all pretty good, helpful right here? On the next page, you guys have already looked at it. It's just showing you the conversion of raw scores into scaled scores. And then the page after that is ISEE. I'm not going to go into too much detail about ISEE score conversions because the bottom line with the ISEE is simply this. You can guess all you want, don't leave anything blank, and there's no penalty for wrong answers. So for the ISEE, it's a different strategy, okay? Everyone's cool with that? All right. Any questions? Let's keep moving. Let's turn the page and let's talk about the biggest difference between the two tests. Let's turn the page. Lisa, turn the page. Okay, so the biggest difference so far that we've talked about is this. The SSAT penalizes wrong answers for a quarter point, okay? ISEE does not penalize wrong answers. So that's the biggest difference, okay? The smaller differences between the two is the ISEE has quantitative comparison in math and sentence completion in verbal. Those are the small ones. The SSAT has analogies. That's the only real difference between these two tests, okay? So it's not significantly different. These tests are very, very similar to each other, right? Everyone's cool with that? So I'll repeat it. SSAT penalizes wrong answers. ISEE does not penalize wrong answers. There's quantitative comparison in the ISEE, and there's sentence completion in the ISEE, okay? Everyone cool? Let's just read this real quick. Let's have Isa read the time management part for us.
Every question is worth the same number of points. Don't spend too much time on one particular question. Know when to skip and come back later. If you finish with time to spare review, wear a watch.
Okay, So I think we talked about a lot of this stuff in the past. Wearing a watch is helpful, just so you know. Sometimes a clock may not be available in a room. It may be behind you in a room. You'd always be looking over your shoulder to do that. It's kind of inconvenient. Some tests do not allow you to wear a watch. So, I mean, if it's an advanced digital or smartwatch, they may not let you wear that. So, like I wear a smartwatch, they probably would not let me because it has internet access. So, and it has a calculator on it too. So that's no good. But wear a simple watch. They won't care about that. Okay. When you finish early, I wouldn't put my head down and just sleep or something like that. I would kind of review it, double check one or two things rather than just putting your head down on that. Okay. Let's talk about the best use of Collegible's course. I say this: know your strengths, know your weaknesses. A lot of people are kind of, sort of sure of their strengths, but don't know their weaknesses. You're going to discover a lot of that. I'm going to send back your scores later today, so your parents will see that, and you guys will be able to review that. I would go through the test and make sure you know your strengths and weaknesses. Mark your calendar for the test day. For a lot of you guys, it's in September, so you're going to have to plan ahead for that. I think all 4 of you guys are in a better chance. No, well, Teva, you're not a better chance, right? You're just taking the class, right? But it doesn't matter. You'll probably be taking it sometime in the fall. Either way, you got to mark your calendar. Know when you're going to take it. That's really important. And adopt a routine. I know that some of you guys are like, my parents forced me to take this class, and I'm just doing it because I'm doing it. But like, I don't want to do it. No, take this. Adopt it. This is all about you. This class is all about you. This is all about your future, where you'll go to high school, and the people you'll be around, and the learning environment. So take it seriously. That's what I would do. Okay? And then utilize the Collegible strategies, because that's what this is about. Any questions? Because we're about to start up with verbal here. Any questions on this? Everybody good? All right. So what is a synonym? Teva, you want to tell us what a synonym is?
A word that has a similar definition to another word.
Right, that's good. Okay. So let's look at what synonym questions look like on the ISEE and the SSAT. Okay. Let's have Jacqueline read us the instructions for ISEE.
Each question, part 1, example of a word in capital letters, followed by point group. Choose the one word that is most nearly the same meaning as the word in capital letters.
Right. And then Oliver, read the other one.
Each of the following questions consists of one of the words followed by 5 words or phrases. You are to select the one word or phrase whose meaning is closest to the word in capital letters.
You guys can see that it's pretty much the same instruction, just put in different words. If you look at that first word, debate, what does debate mean? Can someone tell me? Issa?
To basically argue, but
Right.
it's a better way of saying argue.
It's a more refined way of saying argue. That's good. I think your definition works well. What's our best match here for that? Go ahead, Jacqueline. You had your hand up. Dispute. That's our best one. This is an easier question right here. I figured all of you guys knew this. I've never had anybody who didn't know it. But our technique right here, I think, is crucial, especially for harder questions. Because when we have harder questions, oftentimes what we do is we start to look at the answer choices and justify one of them. But that oftentimes is like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole. That's what it's like. So here's our steps. Cover the answer choices. And a lot of you guys are like, what? Don't I need the answer choices? Well, we'll get there. Step 2 is define the word in question. Okay? That means you're going to define it so you are confident and you know what you're looking for. Then think of a synonym and then match your synonym with the best answer choice. When you lift your hand, that's exactly what Issa did. She said argue, but it's a nicer way of saying it. She lifted her hand. She's like, it's right there. Okay? And that's exactly how we want to do it, especially when we get to harder questions, okay? So just remember the 4 out of 5 answer choices are wrong. So we don't want to be misled by a wrong answer choice, because what happens is we often try to reason it and say, well, I guess this is it. Or sometimes we say, well, if it's a big word, then it must be the answer, okay? Or if I've never heard it, it must be the answer. That's not necessarily true, okay? So we want to define the word in question first. Okay, let's turn the page. And this is probably not too mysterious of a word, but what does comic mean to you, Oliver?
Humorous.
It means humorous. Okay, so right away, that's the first thing you thought of, right?
Yeah.
Or you didn't cover it, or you looked at it? You looked at it, okay. Well, what I want to get across here is this. Yeah, obviously this is not a hard word, but is comic simply an adjective? It can be, or is there other forms of comic? Comic is also a noun. So it's a lot of words have two forms, noun and adjective. It might be an adverb and a gerund or something like that. So we often need to know that there are two different uses of this. And if we weren't sure, if this was a harder word, we would look at the answer choices and see what form they're in. When you look at all the answer choices here, they are all adjectives. So you got to go with the adjective form of that. Okay? Let's do the covering of answer choices for the questions on the page on the right for number 2. Right here, let's cover up the answer choice. Cover up the answer choice. Everyone's hands go down. Okay, so Teva, what is grave?
Like, it could be, it's a noun.
It can be a noun. Yeah.
So, what, like a tombstone?
Can be a tomb. Yeah. Is noun the only form? So you look like you're about to like. It can be an adjective. As an adjective, what does it mean?
When I think of grave, I think of like she has or he has a grave face on today.
A grave face. Is that the same as RBF? No, not really. Okay, you'll have to look that up. You know what that is, Jacqueline? Okay, don't worry about it then. Okay. What is a grave face then?
Like not sad. It's sad mixed with something else. I don't know how to describe
Okay,
it.
can be sad. What else would it be, Jack?
Serious.
Really serious. Oliver, did you have another one?
Melancholy.
Melancholy. Okay, I like all of those. Those fit. Let's look at the answer choices, see what's best. What's our best answer here? Serious, right? It's a serious look. Okay, we'll do the same thing with the next one. Cover the answer choices again. Let's have, you want to do this one, Isa? Okay.
Authentic is like different or genuine or something like that. Like
Different, I don't know. Authentic doesn't necessarily mean different. But you said genuine, which is pretty good.
yeah.
Okay. Any others? Oliver, you had your hand up.
Like real.
Real, legit. I like that. Dude, that was like legit. That is like genuine, legit. Okay, okay. All right, continue. Jacqueline? Original? Okay. All right. They're not going to spell legit. They're not going to put legit in there as an answer choice, but it's a good reaction. Okay, let's look at the answers real quick. Genuine. Genuine if it's normal. Genuine if it's different genre. Okay, let's go with the next one. Teva, what's commence?
Like to get together, kind of.
To get together.
Start.
Start. Jacqueline, did you
Move forward or something?
move forward? I like all these right here. Let's look at the answers. Oh, it's a pretty obvious one. It's begin, right? I think when you see the answers, it just stands out like black and white. You're like, dude, that is it. There's no other answer when you do that. Okay? You guys are all cool with it? Good. All right. Let's turn the page. This is what I want us to do here. We're going to just go straight down in order, and I want us to define what each word means here. So let's start with Jacqueline first. What is Marvel?
Comics.
It can be the comics.
Like you're like looking at something like that. Awe.
Looking at something with awe. Okay, let's go with that for now. She said to look at something with awe. Okay, I like that. Issa, you want to give us quench?
Like, like a quenching feeling. It's like tight, restrained feeling.
Restrained feeling. Okay. Oliver, do you have the same
Or like
definition?
when you quench your thirst.
Yes.
Then you can like,
I think of Gatorade when I think of that's their advertising tagline. Gatorade, quench your thirst, right? So I would go with quenching thirst. If you can't think of a definition, I'll also say this. If you can't think of a definition, think of a context that you're familiar with and just use it in a sentence. That's what I would do. Okay, so if you use it in a sentence, it'll be something that you can understand better. Okay? All right, good. How about the next one, abduct, Oliver?
it's like steal or like take away.
To steal or take away. Okay, we'll go with that for now. All right. How about the next one, Teva?
A menace is like someone who has done something bad.
Someone who has done something bad. Are you thinking of Dennis the Menace? The cartoon? Okay. Yeah, it can be. Some people think of Star Wars. Isn't there like Phantom Menace? Isn't there Star Wars: The Phantom Menace? That's one of the titles. No? I could swear there's one of the episodes is The Phantom Menace.
No, we watched all of them.
I thought it was.
I think it's something close to that.
Oh, okay. Okay, I messed up on the titles.
It's like something from
Scooby-Doo. Okay. Okay. There's Dennis the Menace. Okay, we'll keep going. The next one. I started with Jacqueline, right? Yeah, Jacqueline. What's condone?
That was like, you like, say that thing,
Say that someone did
like
something.
you're like, kind of like, someone comes on and like say it.
Is that what condone means in that context? Can you guys think of another context for condone? Any other guesses on it? Any other guesses? I would say, I'll use it in a sentence instead of giving you a definition. My parents did not condone me listening to certain types of music. My parents don't condone me watching rated R movies. My parents do not condone me to use cuss words.
Some can't let children do all this stuff.
All of the above is okay for you?
No, not me.
Okay, but some parents are okay. I'll use another one. Most parents do not condone letting children call the parents by first name. Most, not all. There's some who do. Like when I was young, I remember one of my friends, he would call his mom by his first name. I thought it was like the weirdest thing in the world, but that was the way they did it. But most parents do not condone that. I think we're on the same page. What do you guys think condone means? Oliver? Approve or allow. Okay, I like that better. That's basically what condone is. Okay, or to promote something like that or encourage. Okay. Okay, let's go with the next one. Issa, what's savor?
Savor is like I'm savoring this amazing food, like enjoying seriously, enjoying it while eating it slowly.
Okay, and like when I was little, I remember I was only allowed to eat 6 crackers per day, so I would eat them really slowly, and it'd be like a typewriter and go like that. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to eat more than 6 crackers for some reason. So anyways, is that savoring?
Yeah.
It could be. It could be. Does it? Let me ask this question to clarify it for savoring the flavor. Does it have to be right when you're eating it? Like if right now we're not eating, we're talking in class, and
You could like be savoring a conversation.
you could, but could you be savoring a food that you're not eating right now?
Yeah.
You could. So it doesn't have to be right at the moment. I was eating my crackers really slowly, like nibbling it like a bird or something like that.
Just like so to like enjoy.
Okay.
To enjoy.
Okay. To enjoy it. Okay. You can savor a conversation. Okay. Very good. Okay. We'll continue from there. We have savor. Let's go to Oliver. What's petrify?
I was petrified when I saw the monster in the bedroom.
Petrified when you saw a monster. Okay.
Surprised.
Surprised or shocked. Okay. Let's go with that. Let's write that in there. Okay. And then we'll go to fatigued with Teva. What is fatigued?
Fatigue is like when you get tired or sleepy.
Tired or sleepy. I like that. Okay, that's good. Okay. And then back to Jacqueline. What's ultimate?
Like, ultimately, like the best.
The best? Can be. Is it always the best? Is there something more specific? I think we hear ultimate and we're like, dude, that movie was the ultimate. It was like off the chain. Okay. Yeah, that's more slangy. But the more official definition of ultimate, can someone give it to me? Ultimate Fighting Championships. MMA. Do you guys know what that is? You guys are like, no. Mixed martial arts. Anyways, okay. That joke didn't work.
Real?
It doesn't mean real.
Well,
It's closer to what she's saying with best, but it's not best. If we can't think of it, just write best for now. Okay, just see what happens. What I want you guys to do. Oh, yeah, question? Doesn't have to be entertaining. Doesn't have to be entertaining. What I want to do now is walk through the questions on the next page because they're very much the same. Let's start with Isa. What's Marvel? What did you write on the previous page?
to look at the phone.
Okay, let's lift your hand and see what you would choose there.
Wonder.
Wonder is correct. It's much more black and white now. Oliver, you're on the right page? We're on the questions on the one on the right. You can see. Okay, good. Okay, good. All right, let's go with Teva. What about the next one, quench? What would you choose there on the answer choices?
To satisfy?
To satisfy, right. You're quenching your thirst. You're like, dude, give me that Gatorade. Like, I'm hella thirsty. I need to quench my thirst. Okay, satisfy my thirst. That's my SoCal surfer. Okay, how about the next one, Oliver?
Is it real? Kidnap?
It's kidnap. It's actually more specific. Stealing is not necessarily abducting, but abducting is definitely kidnapping. So we do have to sometimes, even though we predict words, we sometimes need to sharpen it a little bit so that it fits better. Okay, let's go with Jacqueline on the next one. Danger. So it's a little bit more than Dennis the Menace, which is a humorous cartoon. It's actually much more serious. There was a movie long time ago, like 20 years ago, called Menace to Society, which is it was a serious rated R movie, like pretty serious stuff. So anyway, so menace is usually a stronger danger, a threat. People say that, you know, a species that is eating up other species is a menace to that other species. So, you know, like bugs or something like that. Okay. How about condone? What did we choose for that one, Isa?
Like,
Based on that, what did we say? And then tell us what answer you would choose.
approve.
Approve. That works perfectly. Okay. And then next one, Oliver, savor.
Relish.
Relish. So some people choose prolong on that, but I think through our discussion, we figured out that you could savor something but not be experiencing it right there. Like, oh, I really savor, you know, having a soft drink, even though I don't have one in my hands, right? I relish having a soft drink. Okay. Teva, the next one.
Shock.
Yeah, I would go with shock. Petrify is to shock. Some people are like, what about the petrified forest? Does that mean the trees were scared? Not really. It's just called that because the trees are almost turned to stone. For some reason, they've kind of calcified. But the bottom line here is to petrify somebody is to shock or scare them. Okay. These are getting pretty easy. Jacqueline, fatigued,
Exhausted.
exhausted. And then the last one, ultimate. What would you do with this one, Issa?
Ultimate.
Ultimate is,
Final?
it's final. So even though we think of best, the reason why it's final is because if you had a tournament, the last two competitors are the final competitors. And so I guess the person who wins is the best, right? So that's why we affiliate it with best. Okay. Questions? Ready? Let's turn the page for a second here. Okay. And on this, we're talking about sentence completions here. Sentence completions is specifically part of the ISEE, which I'm going to give you guys one of these tests in the future weeks. But for now, we're going to talk about this. It may be new, or you may have seen some of this stuff in school. But let's look at this first question of what it looks like here. Let's have Oliver read this first one.
What are sentence completion questions? Never blank the dishes once they're prepared. Were always highly seasoned.
Okay, before you read the answer choices, I want to say that our technique is not to look at the answer choices first, but rather to cover the answer choices. And what we want to do is to read the question and look for clues. Clues are adjectives, adverbs, sometimes conjunctions. Conjunctions are words like however, although, and they basically give us a direction for this sentence. What are some of the clues from this sentence about Martha's cooking? Anybody want to share?
They were always highly seasoned.
Always highly seasoned.
So it could be something like never spiced.
Never spiced. If we were to put a prediction in here, which is fine, because what we want to do is read the sentence, look for clues, make our own prediction, and then match the answer choice that works best. For this one, she said never spiced. What would be the best answer choice for that?
Bland.
Bland, right? So never bland. Martha's food is basically very spicy. So finding the right clue helps us to predict and to choose the right answer. Okay? Let's do the one right below there. Teva, you want to read that?
When a young politician took office, she was blank, but she felt blank by the time her first term ended.
Okay, great. So what are the clues in this sentence? What do you guys think are the clues?
It has to be something at the end that she wasn't at the beginning.
Right. So what Issa said is this person changes. Okay? What was she like in the beginning? Oliver?
She probably wasn't like very experienced with stuff, like being like a politician.
Right, she's a politician.
And she's younger.
It said she's younger. And how many times has she been in office based on the sentence?
No.
It says it's her first term. So what does that tell us about her at the end of her term?
That she was pretty knowledgeable about.
Right. She had more experience as a result of that, right? So in the beginning she had less experience. In the end she had more experience. What's our best answer choice when we look at this here?
Inexperienced and knowledgeable.
Right. In the beginning she was inexperienced. At the end she was knowledgeable. Okay, that's the right answer. So that is how we do sentence completion. The directions are basically telling us to select the best answer choice that will fit in there. And what we want to do is look for the clues in it. Okay. On the page that's facing this, on the right, I want to talk about this one. Let's do this sentence number on the right. We have the steps. Well, actually, let's have Issa read the steps for us. Yeah, right there.
Each question in two-part is made up of the following: one or two blanks. One blank indicates that one word is missing. Two blanks indicate that two words are missing. Each sentence is followed by four answer choices.
Okay, so one other thing I wanted to mention, our technique when we do this is covering the answer choices, coming up with predictions. There are times where you're going to be like, you know what, I can't think of a prediction for both the first blank and the second blank. If that's the case, just think of whichever one you have for the first blank or the second one, and then go to the answer choices and match it up. Because then you can eliminate wrong answers, okay? And then just read them in there, okay? Let's do this first question here. Jacqueline, you want to read this one on the right, page on the right? On the right. Yeah, the other right. I'm kidding, because you're looking at your left.
How many answer choices? Let's see, the sentence.
And read the sentence there.
The blank case of life in the crowded city became so upsetting to Amy that she decided to move to the country.
Okay. So what kind of clues do you see there? Any clues? Lisa?
She's comparing the life in a crowded city to the country, so it's obvious that they're different, and she's moving for a reason.
Right. So she's comparing a crowded city to a countryside. Okay. What kind of pace of life would that be? Fast pace? I like that. If it's a fast pace, what's our best answer choice here? Hectic. That's right. Good. That's correct. So that's our best one. Sentence completion questions always have predictable answers. So, and the other thing is some of the clues could be synonymous with the actual answer. So sometimes you're like, is it the same as the clue? And like, yeah, it is, because that's why it's there. Okay. All right, let's turn the page here. And what I want you guys to do here, we have a bunch of sentences here that have blanks in them. And what I want you to do is read the sentences, circle the clues, and then write in your predictions here. So let's start with Oliver. Read the first one and tell us what clues and what you would predict for the first one.
I like baseball and other sports.
So what's the clue and what's your prediction?
So baseball is a sport,
Mm-hmm.
and I like other activities or sports.
Activities, sports, yeah, they both work. Okay. How about the next one, Teva?
With clothes and empty soda cans all over the floor, Sam's apartment was very blank. Clothes and empty soda cans all over the floor is the clue.
Yeah, okay.
So
Is your room like that? No? Okay, you're a neat guy? Okay, good. All right.
So the answer could be messy.
Messy, sounds pretty good. There's clues there. He's got empty cans all over. Okay, good. Let's go with the next one, Jacqueline.
Mary's blank expression was a clear indication that something great happened.
Okay.
Um,
What's your clue?
Something great happened.
Something great.
And it could be excited.
Excited expression. That works. Okay. Issa, next one.
She was very blank and had never hesitated to say what she thought. She was very straightforward.
Straightforward. What's your clue?
She never hesitated to say what she thought.
Okay. She kind of let people know exactly what she's thinking.
Blatant. She'd be very blatant.
Blunt.
Blunt.
Yeah, blunt. Yeah, straightforward. Yeah, good. Okay, good. Let's go with the next one, Oliver.
The sergeant used blank languages to show content for the recruits.
Okay. What kind of clues do you have from this sentence?
So language to show the content for the recruits.
Yeah, language to show his contempt for the recruits. What does that mean?
I'm not sure.
Someone want to help Jacqueline?
I don't really like them.
He doesn't like them. Contempt is to dislike strongly. Okay. Okay, that's a big clue. So what kind of language did he use?
I'm not angry.
Yeah, angry language. The funny thing is I had another class, they didn't know what contempt was and they thought it was friendly. And I was like, not likely with the sergeant with the recruits. He's probably shouting at, orders at them and stuff like that. Okay, let's go with the next one here. Teva, you want to do this one?
Even more blank in person than in her photos, the actress dabbled them.
Okay. What are the clues here?
The clue is the actress dabbled them.
Okay, so if she dazzled us, then what would she be like in person versus in photos?
Even more dazzling in person than in her photos, the actress dabbled them.
Okay, dazzling. She's more dazzling in person than she is in photos. I mean, she's sort of dazzling in the photos, but she's really dazzling in real life. Okay. Okay, that's good. All right. Let's go with the next one here, Jacqueline.
Violin is a blank instrument that most people find hard to play. People find hard to play with the clue and it's complex.
So complex, that's a good one. She said complex instrument. People find it hard to play. Okay, good. Next one, Issa.
Some problems are unexpected, but others are obvious.
Obvious, that's a good prediction there. She said some problems are unexpected. Unexpected is your clue.
Some are expected.
The but is telling us it's going to go the other direction. So what I'm trying to train you guys is to train your eyes to look for the clues so you'll know what direction a sentence is going in. Okay, good. Let's go with the next one, Oliver.
Turning the corner, the car blamed on the slippery road.
Okay, what's the clue?
The car blamed on the slippery road. Or
The slippery road, okay. What would happen if it was on a slippery road and it turned?
like slipped.
It slipped? Yeah, that's right. So obviously a slippery road would cause slipping. You could use slipping. Any other words you guys, Jacqueline? Skidded, yeah, those words would all fit. Okay. Swerved, that would fit as well. That's good. Okay. Let's go to the last one here, Teva.
Even the musicians, critics, blank his fundraising efforts.
Okay.
The clue is the musicians' critics.
Yeah, that's one of the clues. Musicians, critics. But what did they do?
They raised his fundraising efforts.
Okay. Why do you choose raised? You're in the right direction right now. I just want you to defend it. Just give me a reason for it. You're in the right direction.
He might have gotten good reviews.
Maybe not. Oliver?
So the critics are the people that like critique agriculture every year.
Uh-huh.
And even the critics are like supporting his fundraising.
They're supporting here. Yeah. So what tells us it's support even though they're usually people who critique? You say you had your hand up. Why is it support?
I was going to say the theme to me is even.
Right.
The musicians, critics are the ones who criticize you or bring out the worst in their.
Well, I don't know if they bring out the worst, but they might write a review that's not so pleasant, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they would not usually be the ones to help fundraising, especially if they didn't like the show. Or something.
Right. It's unexpected, but even they did it. So that shows you that, they support it. That word even turns them into people who support it. Okay? How you guys doing? A little bit tired. Why don't we take a quick break and pause for a few minutes and then resume? Because you guys look like you need to stand or do something. I don't know if you brought water with you or anything like that. But let's do that for a couple minutes. Okay? Let's do that. Okay, so we're going to resume second half here. Okay, sounds good. So let's look at some of these sentence completion questions here. Let's have Jacqueline start us off with number 2 at the bottom of the page.
How does Hugh Malcolm X influence and admire such as obviously?
Okay, what's the clue here?
Admirers.
Admirers. Okay, so these are obviously people who are positive, even though this is at a funeral. So what would admirers do at a funeral? They would praise him. Correct. Somebody in another class guessed rescued, but if they were to rescue a guy, it would have to be Jesus Christ who'd raise him from the dead. You will rise from the dead. You know, like that. No, it's not that. It's praise. They praise him because he's dead already, and they're trying to remember him, memorialize him. So yeah. Okay, good. Let's go to the next one. Issa, what's number 3?
Because of blank in the temperature of the region, it is difficult to know whether to dress for hot or cold weather. Because of temperature is a clue, and it's difficult to know whether to dress for hot or cold weather.
Yeah, those are good clues. It's difficult to know whether to dress for hot or cold weather.
And I guess changes.
Changes, that's correct. Because if it was always cold, you'd wear heavier clothing. If it was always hot, you'd wear lighter clothing. But since it goes up, and it's very San Francisco, it can be hot in the afternoon, cold at night. Hot, cold, crazy. Okay? So that's kind of the way it is. Okay, let's go to number 9 here. We're going to keep going with these predictions and clues. Let's have Oliver read this sentence and tell us what clues he sees, what predictions he would make.
The funds projected for next year's budget are so blank that the library will barely be able to maintain its regular hours.
Okay, what are the clues here?
The library will barely be able to maintain its regular hours.
Okay, that's a clue. The library would barely be able to maintain its regular hours. So if that's the case, what does that tell us about the funds in the budget?
The budget is very tight.
The budget is tight. I like that. The budget is tight. That would be a good prediction there. Okay. Let's just carry this over. Let's go with the prediction. Let's keep going. Let's go with number 10. Teva, you want to do number 10 for us?
Despite a stern and forbidding demeanor in class, the professor was blank to students who approached him in his office.
Okay.
Stern and forbidding demeanor.
Stern and forbidding demeanor. Okay. That's a good clue. But what else is crucial to this one, to helping us determine this one?
He was blank to the students who approached him in his office, which means he probably wasn't something great to them.
Is that right?
Well, I mean, stern and forbidding demeanor.
Yes.
What other message is that?
There's a clue in the very first word. What is the first word?
Oh, I don't know.
Despite. With despite, that means that this is changing to another direction, right? So this basically means that despite the fact that he's stern and forbidding in class, he was possibly different, right? So what would you say? He was blank to students. He was mean? He was kind. I would go with that. Okay. Let's go with number 11 here, Jacqueline.
Some types of spiders are poisonous, while others are relatively light.
Okay. What's the clues?
Certain types of spiders.
Maybe. That's one.
And others are relatively.
Yeah, what does the others tell you?
Well, they're spiders that are not poisonous.
Right. So there's certain who are and others who are. So that's a comparison. Oliver, you had something in mind also?
Are harmless.
Harmless? Okay. Okay. Those are pretty obvious now. Go ahead and do 9, 10, and 11 at the bottom. It should be pretty obvious. We'll go over that in a second. I hope everyone gets 100% on this. All right, are we done? Okay, so let's see who we left off with. That was Jacqueline. So what did you get for number 9, Isa?
Number 9, meager.
Meager. Okay. Number 10, what did you get, Oliver?
I got rude.
Receptive. Yeah, that's the opposite of being stern and forbidding. Teva, what did you get for 11? Harmless. That's right. Okay. Pretty obvious on how sentence completion works, but you guys can see how when you look for clues and you kind of think of it yourself, when you look at the answers, bam, they're pretty obvious. Because I'm not going to be there on test day telling you guys, cover the answer choices. Right? I'm not going to be right over your shoulder. Hey, you didn't cover your answer choices. No. What I'm trying to get you guys to do is turn this into automatic reflex where you're making predictions rather than just plugging and plugging and plugging. Okay? Everybody's good? Okay, let's continue here. Let's talk about analogies. And on the SSAT, this is only on the SSAT, but the analogy questions represent half of the verbal questions, so it's pretty important. The tough thing about the analogies is they only give you one word in the question. I'm sorry, not one word in the question. They give you 2 words in the question, and you've got to match it with either a pair of words or with one word that is being compared. So you're often comparing 2 words here, and you're determining the relationship between 2 words here. So we call these relationships connections here. So when you look at this, number 3 is 2 words. Tactile is to touch, as visual is to. Before you go and answer this, what does is to mean? What does is to mean? Oliver? It really, yeah, it's just a connection. That's all it is. It's just representing a connection. It's not even saying anything about the actual definitions of them. It's just saying connect these 2 words to each other. What is the connection between tactile and touch? Jacqueline, you have it? You're in the right thing, yeah, but what about tactile? How many of you guys have gone to the Exploratorium in San Francisco? You've been there?
The tactile dome?
Tactile dome? What's the tactile dome?
It's dark and can't see anything, so I don't think that's anything with touch.
Right, sense of touch. So why do they call it the tactile dome now, since you've been there?
Because you can use one thing.
You can only use that sense, right? So if we were to create a connection between these 2, how would you connect tactile and touch?
Well, the tactile dome can touch.
Yeah, if you're using it in the context of the tactile dome. Does anybody else have a connection for this, a bridge between the 2 words? No? Okay, let's just use that. In the tactile dome, you can only use your sense of touch. Okay, let's use that with the next one. In the visual dome, you can only use your sense of sight. That's your best one. Okay, tactile means sense of touch. That's what I was trying to get you guys to say. Tactile is the definition of sense of touch. So that means that the only one that works here is visual is the sense of sight. Did you guys know the other ones? They're all having to do with vision of some sort, ocular, image, and eye. Do you guys know what ocular is? It's kind of like having to do with vision and sight. Okay. Okay, let's talk about our instructions. It just wants you, these questions test your ability to determine relationships between words, select the choice that best completes each sentence. Here's our technique. Our technique is number 1. Identify the connection between the first 2 words in the question. Number 2, use the connection to predict the relationship with the best answer, okay? Match your prediction to the best answer choices, okay? So it's not simply one word to the other. You want to create a connection between the 2. If we had something like dog and puppy, which is at the top of this next page, what's the connection between dog and puppy? Oliver?
So there's one that's like older and then one that's like young.
Older to younger, okay? If we're to go to the answer choices on this, which one fits best, Isa?
As adult is to oh, it's over here.
Mhm.
And fish is to egg.
Really?
Cow is to calf. Cow.
Fish to egg. It could be a chicken's egg. In fact, they don't call them eggs for fish. They call them something else. I think it's like there's another word for it. But yeah.
Our very experienced science teacher calls them eggs.
Really? I think they also have other names for it. But okay. But that's not what they're doing because it's not a baby fish. A baby fish would be like a guppy or something like that. The egg is not hatched yet, so it's not the same as puppy. Puppy is hatched or born.
To calf.
Cow is to calf. So can someone tell me why it's not kitten to cat?
Because it's kitten is before
Right.
cat and stuff.
They switch the order on that, so you can't switch the order. If you're going older to younger, you got to stay with older to younger, right? So that's kind of what they're doing now. Okay, good. Let's compare. Let's go to the next one. And at the top of the next page, what we have here are the 8 classic connections between words. And sometimes it's easy to come up with our own connections, and sometimes it's not. So we want to use these if we can't think of words. So characteristic would be something like furriness is a characteristic of a dog. Okay? Lack or opposite would be nighttime lacks sunlight. Okay. Part to whole would be a hand is part of the body, right? You guys see those kind of things? Then you have type. You could have Dalmatian as a type of dog, right? Function would be like a shovel. The function of a shovel is to dig. Unless you're in the mafia, if you're in the mafia, they use shovels to take people out when they don't have guns. Okay. You haven't watched enough mafia movies. You got to watch a mafia movie here. They always have the New York accent, and they talk about taking people out. All right. All right, let's continue here. Degrees is there are certain words that have different levels. Loud and blaring. Which one is greater? Blaring is greater, right? Loud is not necessarily blaring. Part to part would be something like if you had a hand and a foot, they're both parts of the body. That's what I would go with there. And then cause and effect would be something like earthquake causes damage, right? So that would be that. The bottom line here is when you're using these relationships between words, you're looking for a strong connection. And a strong connection is one that has a definite relationship. It's true through and through. It's not like sometimes, well, you know, some dogs have spots. Not all dogs have spots, right? So that would not be a strong word. What we do is we use what I call the always, never, or by definition test. So if you said something like dogs always have 4 legs, right? Are there 5-legged dogs? There's a breed of 5-legged dogs.
There are 3-legged dogs.
It's
that
a
are
breed.
born that way.
Well, you're talking about defected, but like, is there a breed of 3-legged dogs? I don't think there's a breed of
There
3.
could be a place.
There's not a breed of 3-legged dogs.
Australia.
Or somewhere on the other side of the world, okay? But that's what I mean by definition, always, never test. If you said something like there's never 3-legged dogs, that's a strong connection, okay? It's not never a breed of 3-legged dogs, okay? The same connection that you form with the question stem will work in the answer choice. And if you find that more than one of the answer choices fits with that connection, with that that you established, then you need to make it more specific, make it more detailed so that only one of the answer choices will fit, okay? So a weak connection is only sometimes true, maybe true, or sometimes false, maybe false. If it's only sometimes true or sometimes false, it's not consistent enough to be by definition. Okay, that's a weak bridge. So you have to sharpen it. If it's only seldom or maybe, that's a weak connection. So eliminate word pairs that have weak connections, okay? Let's go to the first one here with number 2 here. Teva, you want to read us number 2? Wait, what's the connection? Don't just go to the answer choices. I've been teaching this all day. Don't jump to the answer choices. Create a connection. What is the connection between silo and grain? Do you know what a silo is?
Kind of.
Kind of. Does anybody else here know what a silo is?
A silo is a long thing that it's silver, it's on a farm.
Can be silver. Yes, it's on a farm.
usually silver.
It can be. Yeah. Usually. Do you have evidence of that?
Yes.
I saw one that might not have been silver.
That's one.
Just one. Okay. I like your sense of humor. I actually grew up in Kentucky. That's a very agricultural state. Where people talk like this with a deep southern accent. They talk like this. They got farms and horses, and there was a bunch of silos out there nearby where we lived. Let me draw this for Teva because he ain't too sure what it looks like. But let me just show you what a silo. Oh wait, you just said silver. So here's your farm. Okay.
But the modern ones are silver.
So behind the barn, you got that silo there. What does a silo do? Well, I thought you were the silo expert, and you proved to us that all silos are silver.
I know that I said most silos.
Most?
And I know that silos are long and they look bad on farms.
They look bad? That was a pretty good art there.
Well, they make the farms look more junky.
More junky. Okay. But what do silos do?
I don't know.
Okay. Jacqueline, do you know what silos do?
Do they process grain?
Does they process grain? No, they doesn't. That's processing the grain processing plant. Okay, so that's not what they do.
Do
Okay.
they squirt a bunch of oil out?
They doesn't squirt oil. Okay, that's not what they do.
Do they hold cows?
What? Pull cows?
Hold cows.
They doesn't hold cows. Okay. Oliver, what do they do?
Do they like water like the plants?
They water plants. They doesn't water the plants. Okay. Jacqueline,
Do they hold them?
they hold the grain. That's your connection there. I don't know if you guys were just like loading it because you wanted to hear my southern accent more. I can do that all day. But yeah, I lived there for like the time I was in 5th grade till I was 15 years old in high school. So everybody talks like that. Anyway, that's a long time. Okay. No, I was in 3rd grade till I was 15. That was even longer. Sorry, it wasn't 5th grade. So, all right. So it holds grain. I want everybody to write holds. And I also want you to write next to that the word function. Why? Because of the 8 classic connections, holds falls under function. Okay, so you can see that the 8 classic connections are really just general categories, but what Jacqueline did was she gave us a very specific one. So I want you guys to go straight down the answer choice and tell me which one works best with holds. Do we have an answer?
Vault holds money?
Vault holds money. That's generally the function of a vault.
Isn't it bale okay?
A bale is not. See, you didn't grow up on a farm. See, if you lived on a farm, you'd know this. This is what a bale looks like. They got hills, and then they got these things here. That's a bale of hay. That's just like you get that hay, and you like stack it up in this big tubular thing. It's like that's a bale of hay. Okay, so you got to visit a farm once in a while just to know. Okay, so now you know. That was your farm tour without having to go to a farm. Not necessarily. Okay, let's continue. So a bale is not a function of hay, and a bureau holds socks, but it can also hold other clothes. It holds clothes in general. It's not solely made for that. Okay, a drawer is part of a desk. Okay, let's go to number 3. Let's have Asa read number 3.
Mile is to length.
What's the connection?
A mile is a part of length.
Part of length?
No, well, if you're measuring out something in miles,
I like that better.
a measurement.
A measurement. That's a good connection there. Measurement. So if that was to fall under like one of the 8 categories, what would that be? I don't know if it's degree. That was loud versus blaring.
Characteristic?
That's like furry and dog.
Cause?
I would go with function. Okay. What's that?
The last one.
I know that doesn't mean you can't have it twice, right? But the function of a mile is to measure length. That's what that's for, okay? So if we go down the answer choice of measuring, that's our specific connection here. What's the best answer choice for measuring length?
Inches to foot.
Inch is a measurement of foot. Inches are measurements of length.
Kilometers, right?
Well, you can measure, kilometers can measure anything. It can measure distance to the sun. Kilometers can measure distance from city to city. It doesn't have to be, that's not the function of kilometers. Jacqueline? Acres actually measure land, but land doesn't measure acres.
Yard is to pepper?
Well, yards can be anything. Yards can measure races.
Is it fathoms to depth?
Yes, fathoms are definitely measurements of depth. That's what they are. Fathoms are measurements of depth. That might have been an unfamiliar term for some of us,
Yeah.
but that's what it is. Okay, that's all right. Let's continue here. Let's go with Oliver with number 4.
So pliable is to bend.
Okay,
So pliable.
what's the connection here?
I'm not sure what pliable means.
Okay, someone want to help out? Jacqueline, your hand's up.
Like flexible.
Okay. So when something is flexible, you can bend it.
Right. What does that fall under for the 8 classic connections? Jacqueline? It's characteristic. Yeah, that's right. Pliable is a characteristic of bend, something that can bend. So if you were to read that same connection, what's our best answer choice here?
Is it C, unstable, is to explode?
Is everything that's unstable explosive? Will it explode? Like,
No.
not necessarily. Okay, that's not by remember, connections must work by definition. Okay, it's not sometimes true. Well, like if you take a Diet Coke and you put like a Mentos in it, it'll explode. Okay, no, that's not what we're doing. All right, so what's a better one here?
What is the definition of seaworthy?
Something that can float in the water. That's seaworthy. That's a boat that is seaworthy can handle being in the water.
Okay, so I felt that one.
Okay,
It says state.
yeah.
So is it mutable is to change?
You sound unsure?
Well, I think that's the only one it could be, because I don't know why musical has to do with plucking.
It doesn't. Right, you could play something without plucking it. The bottom line, it is mutable. Mutable means like something that can change. If a lot of you guys are like, doesn't mutable mean like mute on the remote control? Like you could like turn off the sound, right? No, it doesn't. Mutable is like mutation. Mutation is something that is distorted or changes. Mutable is something that changes. Okay, so mutable works with that. I'm trying to purposely see how you guys would eliminate wrong answer choices. That's what I'm trying to get you to do. Okay, let's go with Tavo, the next one.
Measles is to disease.
What's the connection?
Measles is a type of disease.
Correct, it's a type. So he used the right classic connection there. It's type. So what's our best answer here? It has to be a type. The first word has to be a type of the second.
Is it vulture a predator?
Is a vulture a type of predator? What is a predator?
For a predator is it a prey on like
Is a vulture one that preys upon other animals? It is? Jacqueline disagrees. Tell us what you think.
No, because they're already dead.
Correct.
oh
So, right, it should be panther is a type of feline. Just to clarify, a vulture comes after lions kill off some deer and eat the deer. The leftovers are still there, and the vultures are like, "Hey guys, the lions are gone!" And they go, and they go down there and they eat. Okay, I don't know if they really talk like that, but I just made that up as to how vultures might talk. And I think I've been watching too many of the Disney movies, but they go and they eat the leftovers. They're called scavengers. That's what they are. They eat the leftovers. Okay, let's keep going. I'm trying to keep it light because I know you guys are a little tired, but let's keep going with the next one. Jacqueline, number 6.
Army soldiers. Soldiers are in the army.
Yes, soldiers are in the army. What's the connection here?
I don't know.
Right. So in the way that this is written, army is the whole, soldiers are the part, right? So it's whole to part. We need to find a whole to part relationship. It's okay to switch them because the words are in that order of whole to part. Army is made up of soldiers. That's another connection. For some people, it's easier to make a sentence out of it, and that sentence must be true, okay? So army is made up of soldiers. What's our best answer for that one? Isa?
Cast is actors.
Yeah, cast is made up of actors. That's correct. Okay. Why don't you read us the next one, number 7?
Angry is to furious, as angry is less than furious.
Right.
They are both on their way to being horribly distraught.
They're both mad,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. So what kind of connection is that?
isn't it kind of like puppy next to dog?
I wouldn't say it's puppy to dog.
Cause and effect.
Not necessarily cause and effect. What is it?
Agree.
Degree, loud and blaring, right? So angry is one level, furious is a whole nother level, right? It's a higher level of angry. So it's different degrees. One is lower, one is higher. What's our best answer here? You got it, Jacqueline? Yeah, hungry to ravenous. Ravenous is extremely hungry. Some of you guys are like, I'm so hungry, I'm hangry. Okay, have you heard that before? He knows what Teva knows what I'm talking about.
Angry is when anger.
Someone's hungry and angry at the same time.
There was a shirt that I read. No, that's not what it is.
Join. Okay, I thought I knew my slang. It means you're so hungry that you're angry. Is that what it means, Teva?
Yeah.
So hungry that
It's
you're angry.
the lack of ice cream and junk food.
Okay.
Angry. You're angry because
Okay.
of junk food.
I think you're getting there. Okay, let's
I
go.
read a shirt.
Let's go to number 8 here, and I think I forgot who I left off. Was that Oliver who read that one, or angry and furious? Okay, it was easy. So go ahead and do that one, Oliver.
Camera is to photographer. So if you have a camera, you could be a photographer to take photos.
Okay. What's a definite connection? We're looking for something by definition, something that's true.
Is it camera photographer?
It is, but what's the connection? Why don't you tell us the connection, Jacqueline? You're already about to tell us.
Cause and effect.
I don't know if it's cause and effect. I think it's a tool for a photographer, just the way that a chisel is. This could fall under function. A tool has a function to it, so that's what I would say. Okay. You guys are doing really well here. We're doing a good job here. What I want to talk about for the next 2 pages, and we'll make this pretty easy, is let's work on vocabulary here. And what we have here are sentences that give us a context. And I want us to kind of share with each other what we would define each of the italicized words as. So let's start with Teva. Let's go with this number 1.
Robert's decision to study avian medicine seemed natural given his love for birds.
What do you think avian means?
Birds.
Right. It has to do with birds. Yeah. It doesn't have to be the medicine part, but avian means birds. I'm sorry? Yeah, it could be that, or it could be somebody who's like, focusing on felines would be cats, right? An avian is birds. Okay. Okay, let's go with the next one. Let's go with Jacqueline for number 2.
Before we start Thanksgiving feast, my grandmother stands and as the matriarch welcomes everyone to the meal.
Okay, what is a matriarch?
It's like, isn't it when like somebody is like in like a position of like leadership?
Any person?
No.
Can I be a matriarch of this class? Can I be the matriarch of this class? I don't think so. I can't. I cannot be the matriarch. It wouldn't be a correct usage of it. Based on this, we're talking about a grandmother, a Thanksgiving dinner, and she's the matriarch.
An elder.
She's an elder. So the specifics of a matriarch, it comes from the Latin word like matre, which is madre. It's mother. So it's a motherly figure. Leader, if you were to, it's used as a female leader, but it comes from the idea of mother. Okay, so that's what that is. Okay, so it's female leader. I would not qualify as a matriarch. Okay, even in San Francisco. All right, let's go with number 3. We'll go with Issa on this one.
Every summer, Andrew would go to the fields and watch the bees fly from flower to flower and pollinate the plants. Pollen is what's inside the plant, so they're pollinating other plants, which means they're putting pollen inside the plant.
They're spreading pollen. They're spreading the pollen from one plant to another. Okay. Okay. Let's go with the next one, Oliver.
He wandered deeply into the verdant woods in search of mushrooms and other edible flora.
What's verdant?
Like deep forest.
Okay.
Or like
I like that part so far.
forest with depth.
It's a dense, yeah,
dense forest.
full of like plants, densely covered with plants. That's what that is. Verdant. Okay. Okay. How about the next one, Teva?
Knowing that many a gourmand would attend the holiday party, Melanie made sure to stock the refrigerator with extra quantities of imported cheese and gourmet sausage.
Okay. What's a gourmand?
Gourmand be a person, a group of people.
Not necessarily a group of people.
Chef.
It's you're getting warmer there. He said chef.
Respected cook.
Not necessarily a cook himself. I could be a gourmand if I go to the event and I eat the food.
Oh, something that
I don't have to be the one who made the food. I can eat the food there. What is it, Oliver?
That, like, goes and like eats the honey, like kind of like criticizes it, or
It doesn't have to be a food critic. You don't have to be. A gourmand is simply someone who likes high quality foods. I had other students who are like, oh, it's a person who likes to totally eat up everything. No, it's not. A gourmand is somebody who eats finer foods. That's what it is. Okay?
it's like wine and cheese.
Yeah, it's like someone who's like a food, expert would be a gourmand, but then an average person could be a gourmand if they liked finer foods. That's what that is. Okay, let's keep going. Number 6, Jacqueline.
Very often, chefs will add tasteless pigments like food coloring to give dishes more interesting colors. Maybe pigment is
Coloring. Yeah, pigment is coloring. That's right. Next one, Issa.
Bards in medical times were usually illiterate and so memorized incredibly long tales and songs.
What is a bard?
I don't know.
Does anybody know what a bard is? They memorized long tales and songs. Not necessarily priests. They could have been. But back in like the medieval ages, a lot of people were illiterate, so they didn't read and they couldn't pass down books. So a bard would go about town and recite the poems, recite stories, or sing songs. Yeah.
Did he come up with storyteller?
He's a storyteller. That's what a bard is. Storyteller. Okay. Let's finish these up, and when we wrap up the last of these words, then we're wrapped up for the day. So we're almost there. Okay. We're 8:20, so we'll be done pretty soon. So let's go with number 8 here. Who read the one with the bard in that? That was, okay, he said. Oliver.
So Mark sat in the apple grove surrounded by tall trees and yelled over the weeks events. So a grove felt like bigger than a field.
It's kind of like more like an orchard, a grove of apple grove, or like an apple orchard. That's what I would say there.
Well, the difference between a grove and an orchard is that under the orchards are purposely planted or owned by someone, and apple groves are less or owned by the community.
Oh, that part, no. I wouldn't say that there's a difference between individual ownership and community ownership. That's not true. It can be privately owned. A grove can be privately owned by an individual. That's not true. Grove and orchard are synonymous with each other, but I wouldn't say it has anything to do with ownership. Okay, let's go with number 9 here. Teva.
Dogs, since they are carnivorous animals, generally do not do well on purely vegetarian diet.
Okay, what are they?
Animals that only eat meat.
They're meat eaters, right? They're meat eaters, right? Okay, let's keep going. Next one, Jacqueline.
In dramatic tragedies, the protagonist often worries about his own downfall. That's the main role.
The main role, the hero, right? Okay. Hero doesn't always mean the superhero where they save the day, but it's the leading actor for that. That's what hero means. Okay, let's go to number 11, Lisa.
Our undercover officer has recorded a conversation with an unknown interlocutor
Yes.
who appears to be the crime suspect.
Okay, what is the interlocutor?
Person who
This person turns out to be the prime suspect.
they don't know who it is.
And we're talking about an undercover officer. Usually an officer's on your side, but then this guy turns out to be the middleman with the person he's supposed to be investigating. So he kind of played, he kind of turned sides in a way, okay? So an interlocutor is a middleman who communicates to both sides. That's what an like intersection. Loc is communicator. So he's a middleman.
Sounds dangerous.
Can be. I don't know. Undercover people. So let's go to 12 here for this one, Oliver.
Even though we only planted the seeds last week, the stalks have already begun to sprout. The sprout like out of the ground, they pump out.
Yeah, they begin to grow. That's what sprouting is, beginning to grow. Okay. All right. Next one, Teva.
Robert was so hungry after his bike race that he devoured an entire pizza.
Dang. Don't leave any. Okay, what is devour?
To eat all of something?
Yeah, to eat the entire thing. Okay, that's good. We're almost there. Let's go with Jacqueline.
The president's
Emissaries.
emissaries are instructed not to discuss the nation with anyone other than Prime Minister.
Okay, what are emissaries?
They're like trusted.
They're trusted people. Yeah, they are. Not necessarily spies. In this case, an ambassador can be an emissary. It doesn't have to be a spy undercover.
A person trusted by the president.
I would say basically a representative or an ambassador on behalf of the president. So a messenger, a ambassador or representative. All three of those work well. Okay, so that's what I would go with. Let's go with the last one, Isa.
Early cartographers had a hard time making maps because there were many parts of the world not yet explored. People who made maps.
Map makers, that's what a cartographer is. Cartography is the art of making maps, okay? So you guys did a good job today. This is what I'm going to say. Don't forget your techniques, what we learned about synonyms, sentence completion, analogies. Cover your answer choices before you just go and guess and plug. What I want you guys to do is develop that strategy so you understand the questions. Last but not least, I know you guys have closed your notebooks. There's homework here. There's homework at the end of this chapter. So flip that open for a second so you can see it. I know, she sneezed because she's like, no, not homework. Looking at this, it's on pages, I think it's 23. Is that 23?
Yeah.
23 all the way to 30.
What happens if we don't accidentally?
You're going to see me again next Monday, so you have like 5 days, basically. You have plenty of time to do it. Page 23 to 30, okay? You just do it right there. Just circle it and you'll turn them in, okay?
Science or history are part of any test.
Probably that, okay? So we're wrapped up for today, okay? Say bye to our friend in Alaska here if you guys want. You can wave to your other classmate in Alaska while you're, well, she's not there, but you can wave hi to her if you want. So you're not even on the camera.
My hand was.
Your hand was? Okay. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap that up. All right.